Let's talk about the craziest crypto shorting strategy that I've ever created. In today's video, I'm going to expose how market makers build and scale into shorting positions. By the end of this video, you'll understand why market makers never lose trades. I am very confident that if you have a large enough bankroll and you use this strategy, you would win 90% of your trades. And PS, I use zero stop losses, and I just turned $3,000 into $29,000 in the last 60 days doing nothing but shorting the market. Let's say that the price of Ethereum is at $17.25 today, at absolute bottom, and you would have scaled into this position all the way up to the top. The last entry position that you would have hit would have been $14,585. If you would have used this exact strategy, your profit on this one trade would have been $255,000. Let me give you guys the general rundown of how this strategy works. Our first entry position on Ethereum today would have been at $17,025. We would have bet $100 short with 5x leverage. If we started shorting Ethereum at $17,025 with $100, our initial trade liquidation price would have been $2,061. So the idea is that we don't want to get liquidated, and I don't want to use a stop loss, so I need to add to that position. And rule number 4, you have to double every time that you add to your position. I never want to add right at my liquidation price. I'm always going to add $25 before my liquidation price. That would mean that I would add to that position at $20,025. Now, before I teach you this reckless $1 million trading strategy, you must understand that this strategy has zero room for error. If you do not follow these 6 rules to the T, I guarantee that you're going to get wrecked. 100%, no questions asked. So definitely do not leave before the end of this video. Rule number 1, ByBit Testnet test run is mandatory. ByBit is the only exchange that has a Testnet exchange for leverage trading. It's free. Check out my ByBit playlist down in the description. I have great videos that will teach you how to set up a Testnet account and get play money deposited into your account for free. Rule number 2, this only works for Ethereum. Ethereum's market cap is massive, the tech is old, it's outdated. With inflation and the macroeconomic events, the odds of Ethereum doing more than a 2x are very slim, and I'll explain more as we go. Rule number 3, you can only look for entry positions when RSI on the 4-hour breaks above the 70% level. Set your RSI indicator to these settings. Rule number 4, this rule is mission critical. Never, and I mean never, you can never ever add to your position until price is $25 away from your liquidation price, period. I'll teach you how to use ByBit's liquidation calculator to estimate your future positions. Rule number 5, you have to double your position every time you add to your trade. Now, I'm sure you guys have played blackjack before and you thought to yourself, wow, if I just double my bet every time I lose, eventually I'm going to break even. This strategy is very similar. The only difference is the fact that these rules give you a major advantage over the house. Rule number 6, you're going to get a lot of opportunities to exit your position. If you get in over your head, or you think if you scale in a few more times, you will be in over your head, as soon as you break even, you have to close out that trade. If you break this rule, the odds of you getting wrecked increase by 95%. And last but not least, rule number 6, 5x leverage is the only option. Any more and you can't scale in. Eventually you will run out of money and you will get liquidated. Anything less than 5x, you may not give yourself an exit position in time. It's all about scaling into the position and exiting on a retrace if needed. Now, let's run through this strategy together. Let's say that the price of Ethereum is at $17.25 today. We're going to backtest this, and if we would have used this strategy and you would have started shorting Ethereum down here at $7.25 at absolute bottom, and you would have scaled into this position all the way up to the top, the last entry position that you would have hit would have been $14,585. If you would have used this exact strategy, your profit on this one trade would have been $255,000, and you would have closed out that position or that short on Ethereum at $22,050. Let me give you guys the general rundown of how this strategy works. Our first entry position on Ethereum today would have been at $17,025. We would have bet $100 short with 5x leverage. If we started shorting Ethereum at $17,025 with $100, our initial trade liquidation price would have been $2,061. $61. So the idea is that we don't want to get liquidated and I don't want to use a stop loss. So I need to add to that position. And rule number 4, you have to double every time that you add to your position. I never want to add right at my liquidation price. I'm always going to add $25 before my liquidation price. That would mean that I would add to that position at $20,025 because my first bet was 100. My second bet is going to be 100. And what that's going to do is it's going to raise your entry price. My original entry price was $17,025, but because I added and I doubled that position at $2,025, we need to add those numbers and we need to take the difference between those numbers. We're going to divide that by 2, and then we are going to add that to the lowest value, our original entry price. So if I added at $17.25 and I added at $2,025, that would raise my entry price up to $18,075. So I now have one trade open. My entry price is now $18.75 instead of $17.25, but my position is $200. That gives me a new liquidation price. Because my entry position is now $18.75, I can come over here and I can add that to our ByBit liquidation calculator. And what that tells me that I need to set my next limit position because my liquidation price is at $2,240. I'm going to go about $25 before at $2,225, and we're going to repeat that process. My new entry price was at $18.75. We added to that position at $2,225, so it's 200 plus 200. We now have a $400 position. Our new entry price is now up to $2,050, and our total position invested is $400. That also raised our liquidation price to $2,449. And you guys can understand the process. We're always doubling and adding to that position. So I'm going to run through these next slides really quick. And if you guys stick around to the end of the video, I'll show you guys how you guys can download this PowerPoint spreadsheet for free from my website as long as you guys are subscribed to the channel. So definitely hit that subscribe button. So our next entry target will be at $2,435. We now add 400 and 400. That makes our position $800, and that raises our entry price up to $2,237. We come over to ByBit, we type in our new entry position. This tells us that our liquidation price now, after scaling into our trade to our $800 trade, our liquidation price is now $2,673. So we set our entry position to $2,650. That would put my trade size at $1,600. My next entry position would be $2,900. Next entry position would be $3,175. My trade size is now up to $3,200. My next entry position is $3,475. My trade size now is $6,400. And now this is where we really start to get up in those big levels. That's why I say you started with a $100 trade. After your 8th entry point, your $100 trade has turned into a $6,400 trade. But you can see that your first entry position was 100. So it's 100, 100. That makes it 200, 400, 800, 16, 32, 64, 12, 25,000, 50,000, 101,000, 203,000. And by the end, you are at a $406,000 position. But your entry price started at $17,025. I was able to scale in and take my entry position without closing out a trade, without getting liquidated, without using a stop loss, all the way up to $5,975. And we can see if we added at that very last position, our liquidation price would be $6,002. The first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to split our screen. That's how I like to set up my RSI level. So I'm going to choose the little button up here. I'm going to split my screen. I'm going to make sure that I have the chart set to 4 hour. So we're going to double click Ethereum on the right. It's behind me. Sorry, you guys can't see it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to double click on Ethereum. We're going to make sure that we have the chart setting set to 4 hour on both charts. We're going to make sure we are clicked on the right chart. We're going to choose the indicator drop-down menu, and we're going to type in RSI. And you are looking for relative strength index, not the stochastic, not any other, just a plain old RSI. Now we are going to double click on the chart or right behind the RSI indicator, and that's going to make it full screen. This is exactly what we want. Now we're going to go into settings. We are going to make sure that our RSI settings are set to this exactly. We want 30 for RSI length, MA length 30, and BB standard deviation set to 2. Now we're going to click on style. I always make my lines yellow so that they're very easy. You can click on dotted lines, dash lines. I like the dotted lines best, and I like to make sure that they're the biggest size possible, and I like them set to yellow. Nothing else on the chart matters outside of the white line. Same thing, I want my white line full, and Visibility, none of this matters to me anyways. Now, what did we just see over here? RSI on the 4-hour time frame just broke above that 70 level. So that yellow dotted line at top is our 70 level. If we would have went back in time, there was only one other time that RSI would have broke above that 70 level. So if you would have waited till RSI started to break above here, you would have basically started to short Ethereum pretty much at a cycle top. So obviously the scale-in strategy doesn't always work because you don't get a very big position, but it's not necessarily about building into a massive position. It's about making sure that you're not getting stomped out or losing money. If you wait till your indicators tell you that you're pretty much at a cycle top and you have the ability to scale in and you understand how to manage those trades, statistically, the odds of you losing that trade are slim to none. Now, the best trades are ones that you start shorting and depreciate in value by 50%. So if you would have started shorting that trade, say at around 3,000, you would have scaled up into it. Your entry position would have been at about 3,200 or whatever. You want to be able to short that down 50%. After your shorts go down by 50%, there is no point in keeping that short open. You're better off closing it out and waiting for a better entry position. The last time we got an entry signal on Ethereum was on July 18th. Now, you cannot enter these trades right now. Just because you see that it already peaked and price is down a little bit, you cannot enter. The only time you can enter your first entry position is right here when you're breaking out the first time, period. So if we go back in time and we look back, you would have only been able to do this back in March of 2022. You'd have been able to do it in September of 2021. Would have been right here. So say you would have did it right here in September of 2021. Your first entry position would have been at 4,000. That is saying that your next scale-in position would have been $4,780. So your first entry position would have been right at about 4,000, and your next entry position would have been at $4,780. You would have entered 2 trades on Ethereum, and guess what? That would have brought your entry position, probably split in half right there, to $4,441. Could you have got a 50% short out of that? Boom. Now, when else could we have done it? Here, let's say you would have jumped the gun and you would have seen it peak over here just for that split second, and you would have entered that position here. You would have entered that position at 3,200. So if you would have entered at entry position at 3,175, your next entry position would have been 3,475, then 3,800, then 4,160, and then 4,550. And eventually, it would have broke down and you would have been able to exit that trade with the W in a 50% position at that. Here would have been another example. Ethereum's at $2,113 and it ran all the way up to $4,374 before you put in that cycle top. Well, again, if you would have started shorting Ethereum at $2,025, you would have been able to scale all the way up to $4,165. What was the cycle top? $4,374. And yes, you would have not hit the next liquidation price. And if you started at 2,000 with a $100, then $200, then $400, you would have actually been at, because you didn't double the first one, so you would have actually started at, instead of 1,725, you would have started at 2,025. So you would be back one set. That means that by the time you got up here to 41,400, your total trade value would have been $12,800. So you need to understand that if you do not have the bankroll, you cannot start with a $100 trade. And yeah, it's going to be a bummer. Sometimes you're going to start with a $100 position and the market's just going to break down after that and you're never going to get to add to it. But that's okay because you're still winning trades. And that's what trading is all about. Let's run through those rules really quick one more time, because say you did scale up into it at $4,165. Those positions are very, very dangerous, but a lot of times you get very, very lucky and the market just breaks down. If you would have hit that last position, that would have brought your entry price up to $3,829. On this first pullback, when price hit $3,439 on that first drop, if you are in over your head, if you cannot continue to scale another 3 or 4 times, if price keeps blowing off the top, you have to close that position, guys. This is where it gets very dangerous, and I will guarantee you a lot of people will get wrecked. Everybody wants to hold it for the 50% drop. And of course, hindsight is always 20/20, right? I would have wanted to try to hold that for the 50% pullback, especially when all the RSI indicators are giving you those signals. But there is always that chance that you're going to come up and put in one more higher high. And if you can't continue to scale out, you would have been better off exiting that position right here at when it broke down, entering at $3,419, because your position would have been like $12,000 or $6,000 or whatever it would be, but very high. Just wait, set back a minute. And then after this, after you blew out of the RSI off the top 4 times in a couple week period, altcoin season. Sometimes the signals are overwhelmingly obvious. And then I would have maybe started to enter a position for $1,000 at $4,122, and then did $2,000, and then did $4,000, and then had to exit that position again if needed. If you go over to YouTube and you search ByBit Testnet or ByBit Testnet tutorial, you will see these videos. These are the videos you want to watch, how to set up a ByBit Testnet account. You can do it in a few minutes. And if you guys have signed up for a ByBit account already and you guys want to support this channel, I would greatly appreciate it. You can create a second ByBit account at any time using a new email. If you sign up with that new email and you guys use my affiliate code, I'd be greatly appreciative. And again, this is a strategy for advanced traders that understand markets, that understand how market momentum works. And that last tip, that last key piece is the RSI on the daily time frame. Now you could do this 2 ways. You could jump on Ethereum and you could take a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame, and you can see, wow, Ethereum blows out of the daily time frame quite often. So maybe, just maybe, anytime you see RSI blowing off the top on Ethereum, over here, you would have had a easy, like a 70% pullback. So you could either confirm on the daily time frame that RSI on the daily time frame has blown out of the top. That's normally signals that you're very close to a top, or at least getting ready for a major pullback. Or you could pull up Bitcoin on the daily time frame. And I like to use Bitcoin more so as my indicator. And you can even see it here with Bitcoin. When Bitcoin blew off the top at 41,000, you could have easily scaled into those positions as well. But now the reason that I'm really strict about just doing this on Ethereum, Bitcoin at any day could literally flip the bond market. There could be a country that goes into hyperinflation that announces that their entire country is going to start mining Bitcoin, or that Apple is going to accept Bitcoin, or anything of the sort. There's a lot of big news that could do a lot of good for Bitcoin. And I'm talking about Bitcoin like massive run-ups. And yes, Bitcoin brings up the entire market with it. But as Bitcoin runs up, it's going to stall out. Eventually people are going to short it and it's going to have that pullback. And that's what we're looking for, to exit our positions on the pullback if the market tells us so. Right now we have really bad macroeconomic events. Bitcoin's not doing the greatest against the S&P 500. They now have a big Bitcoin short ETF where Wall Street can short the crap out of Bitcoin, and who knows. But this is just my strategy. And again, it's all about testing it on ByBit Testnet. So set up an account, test out this strategy one time for yourself, and you could start doing it on smaller time frames and really just showing yourself how to scale in with, like, say $10, or it's play money. So literally copy the exact same trades that I just showed you on the screen: $100, $100, $200, $400, $800, $1,600, $3,200, and the list goes on. And drop some comments below and let me know what you guys think. Appreciate you guys again. My name's Ryan Matta. Thank you guys for stopping by the channel. Peace. Hey you, are you interested in learning more about how to investigate rug pulls, how to do background research in developers, or how to read GitHub so you can prevent yourself from buying into these rug pulls and Ponzi schemes? Do me a favor, come join us live on my second YouTube channel. And don't forget to check out my Kadena playlist. This one blockchain is going to change every aspect of life as we know it.